Hi, welcome everyone. We have another exciting episode of Profit Max podcast. As usual, we try to bring you value by interviewing well-known, more importantly, well-respected and credible business leaders, business entrepreneurs. We try to tap into their mind, their experience, their vast knowledge to share with you real-life things that you can do, especially during this time of pandemic. So if you haven't already, please click subscribe and like and share and comment as well at the bottom of this video, which is also going to be a podcast, by the way. So today we have with us Dato Peter Ng. He's the founder of UCSI, and I just found out recently it's actually the UCSI Group and not just UCSI University. So welcome on board, Dato. Glad to have you with us.
Thank you, Peter. It's my privilege to be given the honor to be here chatting with you.
Okay, great. So maybe to start off, Dato, you could tell us a little bit about your journey as an entrepreneur. How you came to start UCSI and how it has grown over the years.
Yeah, it all started in 1986 when I returned from Canada. During that few years, that 1986 to almost to 1990, Malaysia was hit by severe depression, severe recession. So job was difficult to come by at that time. So I started in 1986 with a small little computer training center. Yeah.
Okay. And how did that evolve and grow to what it is today?
Well, it was a little training center, and I, of course, have never thought that the industry is actually so huge. I started with a one-to-one computer application kind of training because my background was computer science, and so really quickly, once you are in the industry, you are fully immersed in the industry, you realize that there is a lot of potential.
So you run a pretty diversified group, I understand. So, tell us a bit about how you took it from, the training center to university and all the way to where you are now.
Yeah, so once you are in the business, in the line, and you are emerged in the industry, you begin to see the needs of the industry, and you would then realize where the potential are, and then and so you make the right decision as you go along. So when we first started, it was a very small setup. It was only like 2 computers, myself as a trainer, 1 receptionist, and that's all. But because it was the right time in 1986, it was a real recession. So a lot of people are without jobs. So they then took the opportunity to actually come back to do upgrading, training, and many of them
upskilling.
Reskilling
and upskilling.
Yeah. And so many of them do or prefer one-on-one kind of thing. And for me, it wasn't by choice to have only 2 computers because I couldn't afford it. So for me, it was by default, and therefore everyone ended up to be a one-to-one kind of training, but they had to pay a bit more because one-on-one is more expensive. See. So, but very quickly, in a matter of a few months, I expanded to 4 computers, then 8, then 16, then we have 20 over, then we have 100 over computers, then we begin to employ lots of people to help to teach and stuff like that. Then, so from a small little institute became a college, from a college became a university college, then became university. So in 2008, it became a university. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So your first core business was actually the education sector.
Yes.
You started off with a training center that evolved into a college and then became a full-fledged university.
Correct.
Okay, so that was 2008.
So within those period of growth, there were a lot of discussion on downward, upward, sideward integration, because running a university without a proper place for students to do their internship or for professors to practice, because we call ourselves as a practice university. So then very quickly we expanded into different areas of education so that our professors could get a chance to practice as well. So went into hotel business, hotel convention, went into construction, like healthcare, and consulting and so forth.
Okay.
So expansion came out of the need of placement for our students and for our professors to practice.
Okay. I just want to go back, Dato, to what you said earlier about making right decisions. So obviously the right decisions were the ones that took you forward, but could you share one or two decisions that were not very good, and what did you learn from those?
Yeah. Oh, I made a lot of mistakes. I was young. I started at the age of 25. Yeah. So there were a lot of mistakes that I've made. At 24, 25, you don't really know much. Some major mistakes were investment issues, like I invested in the wrong thing. And so the company got burned in terms of the losses. Also, I made mistakes in hiring. It's difficult to just based on 30 minutes or even however long you want to stretch it of an interview, and to fully make the right decision. I think that can be very difficult. So I made quite a number of those mistakes.
Yeah. Hiring mistakes are the most painful, I can tell you. I'm sure you realize, But I guess you have to go through all that. Very hard to read people sometimes, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So talking about universities, that's probably quite challenging now, because I understand, a lot of what you call foreign students now come in because of all the travel restrictions with the pandemic. How has that impacted you, and how have you overcome those sort of situational challenges?
Yeah, very interestingly, university is not much affected. To be very honest with you, not very much affected. The intake number perhaps may have dropped slightly, but not much. But the ongoing students, there has been no quitting or withdrawal. They basically, all of them basically continue, almost all of them, and continue to do online, and they all make the fee as usual, pay the fee as usual. There's some could be a bit delayed, but they still pay. So university is not impacted at all, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah, but our international school, our private schools, with several of these, with three private schools, three international schools, they are being impacted somewhat, yes, because a lot of parents could no longer afford international school kind of luxury, so they have changed either back to the government school or been to or changed to the private school, which is a little cheaper. So in that sense, in the education sector, under the primary, secondary, there is a small amount of impact. Yeah.
I see. Okay. So with the universities, there's so many universities, including some are foreign universities. How do you create a differentiation? How do you distinguish yourself? What's your uniqueness? No?
Yeah, the industry, a mature industry like ours, is quite interesting. The regulators, the providers themselves somehow through the system of the ecology, naturally, it has a lot of mechanism to differentiate one university from another. One key element in differentiating university is obviously the World University ranking. The tools that are used for world university ranking would set many universities apart from other average university. And UCSI has always emphasized on quality, on our research, and also on the philosophy of what we believe real education must be. So after 30 over years, and this sort of pay off, because when we go through QS World University Ranking, for example, we're ranked 300 over in the world, and in Malaysia, only basically 2 private universities are ranked 300 over. And so UCSI is one of them. And the rest are ranked, only about another few more, they are ranked within 1,000 or below 1,000. And there are only just probably 3 or 4 more. So that already set us apart from everybody else in the private sector. And so it's not difficult actually, for parents to know who we are and for students to know who we are. And so that indeed has been the strength of UCSI University.
Okay.
And so during COVID pandemic, we are not being impacted because parents know what to choose and how to choose. Although they don't come to the campus, they all have to make that decision through online research. I think before pandemic happened, when the children were in primary, secondary, they already kind of known what university to go. So maybe the choice has not been that difficult, I think. So we are not impacted in that sense, yeah.
Okay, very good. Tell me, Dato, how do you keep the staff and the team morale up? You know, because I guess you must have quite a big organization of people in the university.
As a group, as a conglomerate, we have 3,000 employees. There are different things that my personal philosophy allows me to do. One of the things that I emphasize a lot is to make sure that the needy ones, the poorer of our employees, are being taken care of. So retention would be higher when their needs are being looked after, and those that would require upgrading or training, we will provide also funds for the training, like PhD or even masters. We have a scheme that is known as EESS scheme, whereby we provide the fund for them to upgrade themselves. And since they're already working with us, so of course we have to pay them at least the market rate or better. And they will have to be bonded like for a number of maybe 3 years, how many years, depending on the amount of scholarship they have consumed. So we always look after the need of our employees, and we work very much also as a family. I'm one person who actually go down, I think the Malay called Turun Padang, to work with them. And for example, our vaccination center, I would actually go down to help them to even do registration of vaccinees. I would even go down to the floor to help them to call numbers because there are a lot of queue numbers and so forth. And so there are a lot of volunteers that are needed. Volunteers are hard to come by because of the COVID pandemic, and they're all very afraid of contacting the virus. So therefore, a number of my staff, including myself, will have to do Turun Padang, and we have to do the job ourselves. So I'm that kind of a leader. So I get very close to my employee. Actually, I know many of them very personally, and I play basketball with a number of them also.
Yeah. Wow, you must be very fit, no, to play basketball. That's quite an exertive sport.
Well, it has been a habit and a skill that I've picked up since secondary school. When I was in form 4, form 5, I used to play quite a bit, and then all the way to university and to now. So I've never given up playing, and so because you have kept up with the stamina and what is required. So it's a lot easier to keep it going. But if you pick it up at this age, no, you won't be able to pick it up at this age.
Yeah. Okay, very good. So fantastic. So back to just wanted to get a bit more clarification on your leadership style and how you build the team. Because I reckon that must have been one of the pillars that drove your world university ranking. Would that be one of the criteria? The strength of your faculty.
Yes. Strength of faculty. Unfortunately, they don't measure how long your staff have worked for you, and if they measure that, then I think we probably score very well on that score too. But they don't measure that. They measure things like the kind of research they have done, the qualification in terms of PhD, and then the collaboration they do in terms of research networking, how well the research has been cited and things like that. So they are the measurement or instrument for the quality that they define is one that all of us all over the world, the whole world will have to accept. And so we play from the same field and the same instrument. So your staff qualification is one key factor.
Okay. All right. So I like your Turun Padang kind of leadership, no? Very good. Just switching gears a bit, I want to talk a bit about SMEs and the impact of SMEs. Because you were once an SME.
Yes.
So from your perspective, what is the importance and the role of SMEs in our country, and how can we best help them? No, for example, can the university what can the universities do in terms of helping them to upskill and build their capacity and all their capacity and capabilities?
Well, SMEs are extremely important to any nation at all, and to me, they are the backbone of the majority of the
job
business
creation
volume or the transformation economies of a country. So the government should really focus on SME, because you only have small percentage of people who are beyond SME who are the bigger one that have gone beyond SME. And so all these small, medium-sized companies will form the majority of the economic pie of this country, of many nations, as you look at all the developed nations too. Yes. So therefore, it is crucial that they are being nurtured and they are given the attention, that the government will pay attention on them even during pandemic situation, so that these industries are not being killed by pandemic. So in terms of upskilling or upgrading of their staff, there are many ways of working with universities, especially having access to graduates from top universities can be very, very difficult, because all these students, all these graduates are actually grabbed by the like I say, small percentage of big firms and all the big multinational companies. All the first class honors, the upper second class honors, they are all taken by these bigger M&I. So I think we need to work together with good university to get good graduates in a very effective and synergistic way. For example, a lot of good students with CGPA that are close to 4, perfect 4. Many of them might have difficulties in fulfilling their financial obligation by the time they reach year 2 or year 3. And so a number of universities have worked together with some SMEs and so forth, or the bigger companies, to tie these students down while they are at university by paying their tuition fees, their even accommodations and living expenses, So when they have graduated or when they are doing their co-op arrangement, because UCSI believes in co-op arrangement. So when they are sent to do co-op, they cannot go elsewhere. They have to do at those partner companies, partner industries. So they take these students to go and work in the company. So what they are, when the students are still in the university, they are already working with these individual SMEs. So they're tied in together. But the advantage of this, of course, is that the university, the companies will get top level students working at their office for a very small fee because they have not graduated yet, right? And then after graduation, they cannot choose any other companies because they have to fulfill the obligation of their fee being paid. So they may be bond for 3 years, 2 years, depends. So the company then get to secure these first-class honors students, first-class honors graduate, and which is very hard to come by.
Yes.
And so I would suggest that even in time like this, right? So if the company can think ahead and can work together with universities in one of this way, which is through the co-op arrangement. And for our case, it's called the premium co-op because they have to pay the student tuition fee. Second is through research. Universities are extremely active in research now. Every private university, if they're called university, and if they mind their world university ranking, their position, they will all be actually begging for research. SME on their own, they are not able to fund the full research by themselves because research can be very expensive. So they work together with university like us. We provide some amount of fund and the SME provide certain amount of fund. We combine, and the advantage of the university is that we would have a real research environment whereby the outcome of the research at the end would be of high value because it's directly impacting those SMEs. And so we would encourage SME to come forward and to talk to universities and good universities who are able to do research in that manner. Yeah, and obviously, we have all heard of how the technology is evolving and how many people need to embrace 4IR, right? And the 4IR thing, again, SME on their own, it's going to be difficult to mount enough of investments to convert everything into 4IR. So therefore, if they work with top universities and they are already such implementation at various different factories and various offices, and because of the sheer size that we have, we're able to do to accomplish that requirement with much lesser fund. So that's another way of working together with university.
Okay, great. Some good ideas there. Dato, talking about the evolving trends, you know, there's more and more technology happening. There's more and more online happening, including Zoom sessions like this, which we could never have done, you know, before this.
Yeah.
So looking forward, right, and looking at these trends, how do you think this kind of technology is going to impact universities and academic life, no?
University and cabinet.
Academic.
Oh, academic. Yeah. The one thing I can say for sure is that there is absolutely no way that the face-to-face component will be wiped out. I don't believe. Okay. Although technology can be very advanced, it can enhance and it can complement and it can play a major role in the way we educate our next generation. However, it can never replace face-to-face. Components of face-to-face cannot be replaced. In fact, many of our students are really, really looking forward to their face-to-face or physical classes. They are enough. They said they have enough of online classes. They have enough of not seeing their friends, enough of not having interaction with their professors. And enough of not being able to come anytime they want to the lab and do what they want. Now the lab is very controlled, and the last few weeks is under tight MCO. Even they want to come in, we don't allow them to come in the last few weeks. So life has not been easy. And even with the best of the technology, face-to-face component will not be wiped out.
Okay. But looking forward in next maybe 10, 20 years, there's some people who think that, typical university education may no longer be very relevant. And there are companies like Google, for example, who are already taking in people who are non-graduates, where in the past they only took in the first-class graduates, no?
Yeah.
So what do you think about this school of thought?
Well, going to university will never be irrelevant. Although, yes, through newer technologies, job cycle changes and the kind of people that we need will also change. However, don't forget there are a lot of professions that require still quite conventional kind of teaching and will still require the bulk of knowledge that you cannot not have. For example, accountancy, right? You cannot not learn your accountancy, right? You cannot say that accountants are not needed anymore. The AI will take over. I don't think so, because you still need to have this kind of people around, so the job will be forever secure. You need people in the finance world as well. So it can never be wiped out. You need doctors who have been trained properly to do surgery, doctors who have been trained to do what they need to do. You need nurses and so forth. So there are a lot of jobs that are irreplaceable. Yes. So therefore, no matter how advanced AI or technology has become, you still need to train and give these people the basic knowledge they need to acquire. They need to perform as they come out to work. And so, of course, you will have a lot of new jobs, a new title, fine. But then don't forget, there are enough of others that will need solid training as well as what we have been doing decades and generations ago.
Okay, okay, good. Dato, what would be your advice to young people, no? In looking at the situation today where we have such a volatile, uncertain kind of scenarios, what would be your advice for young people, no? Let's say the late teenagers, the early 20s.
One common thing that I come across in meeting the young people is that many of them, if I could use the phrase, majority of them want to become entrepreneur. Majority of them, I talk to many, they wanted to do business, they don't want to work with somebody and so forth. But I must say that not everyone is born for such a task. Many aspire to become, but very few attain it. So therefore, I think our young people should be a bit realistic as to what they want to do in their life. I think they could try that in a little way if that's what, if that would be their forte. And if it is not, then I think they should realistically sit down and consider being hired for a while. And then once a person is hired already, when you are immersed in the environment, then you will be able to find out whether your dream is achievable or not, whether that there is opportunity there. Like I said, if I have not gone into the training institute, I would have no knowledge and the awareness that that actually official training in many areas are very lacking at that time. There wasn't places for them to go and do a computer science diploma or a degree besides the UTM, USM and those things. And so you realize the demand is there because you are in it, you can see it. So a lot of young graduates, they do not even know the industry well enough, and they wanted to go and start their own business already. Yes. And that is really, really very dangerous. So I think if I can, I'd like to advise young graduates to not rush into becoming an entrepreneur.
Mm.
You know, you can work for anybody for a few years. It's just only a few years of your life, okay? That is when you begin to gauge whether you are born for such a task or not.
Yes.
Because being an entrepreneur is a very, it's really
Funding.
challenging,
Yes.
challenging and stressful. And of course, many of them would have to face the issue of funding, right? Unless they are born with a silver spoon on their hands. Otherwise, they will have to look for this funding aspect. Yeah.
Yes.
So not easy. Yeah.
Yeah. It's brilliant advice, Dato, because yeah, you're right. No, so many young people think it's an easy road. No, they see one Mark Zuckerberg and they think they all can be Mark Zuckerberg, forgetting that there's one guy or 300 million people in the US. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So they are. So they are yield informed, number one, and number two. After they have attempted it for about a year or two, probably they have burned out the little fund that they have, and then they usher themselves into a very depressive kind of a zone, and then really have to pull themselves out.
Yes.
Yeah, or some of these people, their parents love them so much, and you know, I have so many of them. Really sad. The parents have worked for what 30 over years and may have about 2 million kind of a saving. And yeah, 2 million is a lot of money those days. Now 2 million is nothing. So, and 2 million saving, and then slowly they eat up all the parents' saving. Now you have a situation where the son is kind of unemployed, and then the parents have no more money for their own pension fund, and it can put the whole family in a very dire state. And I've seen several of them now, in fact, quite a lot. And it's very alarming. And so I really think parents should love responsibly, you know, love them, and don't buy in the idea that they can become big businessmen.
Yes.
Just even came out from university as though they cannot wait, you know. So let the child go through a little bit of hardship. It's good.
Yes.
Now to go and work for someone and get scolded first, it's okay. Yeah. So they won't die being scolded. They won't die. Yeah.
Yeah, our generation different,
Very different. They call them as the strawberry generation now. They can be bruised easily.
Yeah. So my daughter, when she graduated, she came to me and said, Papa, I don't think I want to be an entrepreneur. I'm not going to work for Nestle. I said, fine, go ahead. No need to be an entrepreneur, you know.
Or decide later. Okay, work for 2-3 years. Begin to understand the world.
Right? No hurry, right? I mean, you got bills on your side.
You know, they're 24.
And actually, if you wanted to start an enterprise, it's better to have a few years of experience under your belt before you start from scratch, knowing nothing, like you say, you know. Okay.
Yeah.
So, Dato, if we have time for one last question.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, I just want to ask you, what would be your advice for people who are really already start up a business, maybe struggling in their first couple of years, trying to get things going? What would be your advice for startups?
Okay, a lot of startup company perhaps may not have thought through the industry key competitive factors. Every industry has some what we call KCF, okay? And they are not thought through properly, and therefore at the end there is no value proposition for himself, no profit proposition for himself, no value proposition for buyers, and no people's proposition for the people who work for them, right? So therefore they will struggle. They will struggle for that period, in the initial period, and hopefully that struggle, they quickly understand and learn that any businesses, if you want it to survive, you got to have this alignment of the three things that I talk about. The buyers must have a reason to buy your service or your products, and it's not just like I buy and I just quench my thirst. You know, it's not just so simple. It has to have a deeply embedded kind of satisfaction or value addedness in consuming and being involved in your product, then your value would have your product would have a value proposition. Now, people working for you or people who are involved with you, and sometimes people don't think enough in that area, and therefore you are not able to retain employee, you're not able to get your business going. All right, so I say a lot of people don't give enough of thoughts into this three aspects of a business: a value proposition, whereby the buyer must really get value addedness in what you're doing, okay, or what you're selling. And the next thing is about people proposition. Why should people stay with you? And have you thought enough about the alignment of the staff needs and staff benefits, and and how their career will map out with you? And so, if you don't retain these people, sometimes your company will struggle to really launch forward and make a lasting kind of a sustainable goal. Let's talk about the last aspect, and that is the profit proposition. An entrepreneur must be able to think through before he invests to make sure that his business will be able to survive in the long run, in what kind of profit level, and what kind of return. You need to calculate. For example, would your company be able to sustain only on EBITDA surplus, or would it be net profit surplus? They are company that, even though you don't make the profit for 5 years, 10 years, but because EBITDA is positive, EBITDA is a surplus, therefore you are able to survive, to run it for a long time. And this kind of company, this kind of investment, of course, would mean that you have enough of funding for to grant the loan to the company, so that you're not worrying about interest, not worrying about amortization and the rest of it. That's why it's EBITDA surplus.
Yes.
And so these kind of thing you need to consider. Yeah. So if you are struggling, so the question is, why are you struggling? What is the reason that you're struggling? Out of the three that I talk about, analyze it could be one of them. All right. So if it is an issue of a non-profitability and therefore cannot survive, cannot move on, struggling every day to pay debts and stuff like that, then I think it's about time to ask the question whether this are you just simply covering holes that keep popping up, or you will be eventually be able to cover holes and do a much positive growth in the future. Then you can still continue to work on something like that. But if you are just covering holes, then I think there might be a need to talk to somebody and agree with you that this company have no future. Then you have to face the reality of shutting it down. Yeah, because setting it up is one thing. It is equally smart to know when to shut down.
Yes. Very good advice, Dato. So not many people can sometimes take that hard decision. No, they feel like I cannot fail at this. I don't want to be a failure. I don't want to be called a failure. And then really they're not looking at the facts of the situation, the reality of the situation.
Yeah.
So when you see your report card, and the report card is red for every semester, then I think you have to face reality, no?
Exactly.
And
exactly.
I think what you're saying is the assessment must be made very clearly.
Yeah.
In terms of the three areas you talked about, cash flow, differentiation, competitive forces, and whether you got any uniqueness, and whether your whatever your product or service you're selling, does it really have a market, or you pushing water uphill, no?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, but sometimes if you make the assessment yourself, can be difficult. So get a peer, get someone who is in the business and talk with them, and they can tell whether you could pull through or not.
Yes. Yeah. Independent, because you are so emotionally involved as well, right?
Exactly. Like in education business, you let me look at your P&L and and your balance sheet, and then I have a look at what you're doing, I will be able to tell whether this can be put through or not.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So
Okay.
thanks, Dato. This has
All
been
right.
a great session.
All
Got a
right.
lot
Thank
of
you,
wisdom
Peter.
from you. And I hope everyone learns from this and take some notes and go and implement what you learn.
Thank you. Thank
Thanks.
you.